Hi, good morning everyone. Let's start in a couple of minutes. We'll wait for another 2 minutes and we'll start. Okay, we'll start with the discussion today. Uh, I'm sharing my screen. Let me know if everyone is able to see it. We'll continue.
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, fine. So today our discussion would be on the data dictionary. So why is data dictionary important? So in generically don't consider SAP. Dictionary means like yeah, you have a collection of words where you can use it and you can all the things are dependent on that, like everything you speak, write, everything is dependent on that. So something like that in SAP as well, we have something called data dictionary, which is the base for all the operations which we are going to do, because we are storing the data, we are storing the temporary data, all these things will come into picture. So the transaction code for the data dictionary is SC11. Okay, I think it has got disconnected. Let me connect back. Okay, the transaction is SC11. So for these are all the objects here: a database table, view, and there are certain other objects in data type as well. So as I showed you yesterday, these are the objects available. So today we'll start with database table. So what is a table? So generally we store data, simple as that. So when we store data, we need some structure. So the table has some structure. So what are the fields available, what kind of data you should store, all this will come into picture. So we'll start with creation of data table. I'll give the name as, first let me show you any existing table. There are so many tables, existing tables. So Mara is a table for material master. This is the standard table. So as said earlier, anything which starts without a Y or a Z is a standard, and which starts with Y and Z is a custom. So now this is a standard table. So I click on display. Okay, this is how a table looks actually. So it has some attributes. What is the delivery and maintenance? These are the fields. So these are the list of fields in the table, because it's a standard table. It has a lot of fields actually. So it's having 236 fields. And entry help, we will discuss one by one. This is just for a look how it looks. So I'll create one data and we'll see one by everything whatever is there in it. So I'll just create ZZ demo. Hope this is not there. Okay, it's not there. So I click on, I'll see, just okay, does not exist. I'll just click on create. Okay, it's asking for access key. I think there is an access restriction. So let me try opening an existing table. I'll see if I have the access key for that. So this developer access key is required to create any object in the system. Well, this is not there. I'll just take the other table and we'll go through one by one. So when you are creating a table, it will ask for a package and a transport. So transport, what is a transport? We'll cover separately because that is a pretty big topic actually. So that one we'll separately take up on. And what is a package? Okay, now see this is the package you see. So package in the sense we'll group all the objects and it will be used for transporting purpose. So like it's a grouping. So in generic discussion, it's a grouping. So the packages also have. So any object you take in SAP as standard and custom. So to see the packages, the transaction is SC21. So there you will get idea of all the packages available in the system. So if you see here the package and package interface, there are two. So if I just click on the F4 help, see this is a search help. So this is also a data dictionary object. So once you click here, it will ask for okay the restrictions, what all you want to do. So I'll give first let me see any G packages are available. So these many packages are available in the system on the Zname. And another transaction which is very useful for us is SE80. This is called object navigator. So you can navigate all the objects from this transaction. Let me open that. What happened? Didn't open. Let's wait for that. Okay. So now coming back to the package, you will have so many packages here. So one package, let me open, and we will see how it looks. So I'll take randomly some ZPPC. So it has some description as well. Okay, SC80 has opened right now. Just give me a minute again. This is SC80 transaction. The SC21 is opening actually. It's taking a bit time. So this is how the package looks. So this is already generally it will be created in the system already by the basis team. So in the initial stages of any development, they will create this package and they'll keep okay these objects this should go to this package, and this is purely for transport purposes. If you see different attributes available, the basic data which has the description, these are the generic ones like who is responsible, who created, what are the uh, application components. So these are the differentiators. Now coming to the package properties, we can have sub packages like yeah, main group and subgroup is exactly the same actually. Now if you see package, there are certain settings. So if you want to restrict that what kind of objects you want to put into that package, like see again in SAP there are two major groups. One is a technical and one is functional. So to if an object, suppose there are functional consultant and ABAP is completely technical. So if they want to differentiate between, okay, this is a functional object or a technical object on transport level. See, by seeing the code or seeing the object, someone can say. But when there are some 2000, 3000 developments, using this package only, they'll differentiate. So the package contains only description. So these are the different categories we put in. Now coming, so if this is a main package or a sub package, if this is not there, this is a sub package. If it is checked, this is the main package. So now this is the transport attribute. So this is the main purpose why packages are created. So they'll put the transport here, okay, to from where to where this object should go, and what is the software component. These are the main things here. Now come to user access. They'll restrict if someone should be putting any restrictions. So okay, these users should be using, this user should not be using. So all this will come here. Package interfaces, generally why they will use this is okay, suppose there are certain packages which are pre interfaces, some preset values. So for using that they'll use this step. As I said earlier, sub packages, so a main group can have multiple subgroups. Those subgroups which is sub packages, they'll maintain it here. And how the packages are mapped, like where is my main package, where is my sub package, If there are sub packages, this hierarchy will come. You can see this hierarchy. So there are some buttons which you can see in the top. So the mostly used button is this where usually. So if you want to see where and all this package is used, this is applicable for all objects, all data dictionaries. This one will be useful. Now going back to the database table, okay, I will tell a few things about this workbench. So here you can we have individual transactions, okay, like SE38 for reports, data object, SE11 for data dictionary. This is a common transaction where you can see everything. So we'll explore this later. We'll get back to our table. So now coming back to the package. So we have seen what are the packages and what are all the different settings in the packages. Now the original language. Okay, in which language this is being maintained? We'll have two languages actually. The original language and the maintenance language. The maintenance language will be default the system language. There are some parameters called system parameters. The transaction for this user is SU01. So for your user specific, what are the settings available? You can see. So this is so the password unlock all they do it here only. If the user is locked, they'll unlock it. If you want to reset the password or change the password, you can change it. So I'll go to display. Even user creation is done here. Okay, the user creation is also done here, but that is done by the basis people because this is the demo system. Will have access to all the transactions. So user, if you see, this is the address purpose. So in this there is something called roles and profiles. So this is where all the authorizations are being controlled. See, they have given SAP means all the authorizations will be having, and any new authorization added also will come by default. So this is the user settings. So in this settings, let's go to address. You can just put in your contact details and parameters. In this parameters, there will be certain default values, system parameters. For defaults, if you go start menu, this is one when we come up. That menu you can put and date format, time format. All this you can put actually. These are the default settings. So based on the system, this is the user default. Similarly, we'll have something called system defaults. So that system default language will be your logon language. The original language is in the actual language where it is created. So suppose someone has created on their own language. So we have multiple language keys which will cover almost all the languages in the world. These are the languages. Now this is the main thing in the attribute tab. Now coming to the delivery and maintenance. So we'll have what is the delivery class and how you can browse the data. In delivery class we have, I'll just show what are the all options available. So we have these many categories. So these categories we'll have to select based on what this data is going to do. Suppose for example this is an application table. So it is a master and transaction data. Means see in SAP there is two major differentiation in the data. One is master data, one is transaction data. Master data in the sense, by definition, the master data is a data which is not changed so frequently. That is the definition of master data. And definition of transaction data, a data which will change frequently. Simple. Now, for an example, master data is your name and your details. Okay, so your name and your details is a very less changing thing. So address. So what I showed you in the previous screen, like name, address, all these things, those will not change so fast. So that is a kind of master data. In system, it is called maybe business partner, vendor, customer. All these are master data. Now coming to transaction data. Transactions are as it says. So suppose it's a financial transaction. There are multiple transactions. Okay, not only financial. Just for an example, we are taking financial transaction. So in a month, you'll be making around 15 to 20 money transactions. Maybe take you have an account in SBI. So debit, credit, these are all transactions. So this set of data will be stored somewhere. That is called transactional data. Now, this is the types of data. Now coming back to the types of delivery classes, we'll have application table which is having master and transaction data. Then next is customizing table. Means there are some settings in the system where you want to maintain for the business. So that one is comes to your customizing table. So majorly as an ABAPer, we will be either creating an application table or a customizing table. So others are system created. So if you see the description, maintenance only by customer, not by SAP import. So what is SAP import? Okay. Now in this data is client dependent. The objects are of two types again when it comes to client. So some objects will be client independent, so that means it will be same in multiple clients. Suppose there are two clients, as I said earlier. Now we are in 800. So for example, if we assume there is another client called 900, I create a program, okay, that is client independent. Means in this either client 800 or client 900, it looks the same. Now coming to client dependent data, the table and table entries are client dependent. Means in client 800 I have some customization, or that is which is internet table data will not be the same as in the other client because it is client dependent. So now coming back to this delivery class, we can see next the table is table of sorting temporary data delivered empty. So this type of tables are always empty. Now coming to G and ESW, these are very least used tables, and these are directly used by SAP standard. Means when you are working in the product development, you will come across these tables. But in general, you will be using either A or C, these two only. Okay. So now coming to the how you can maintain this data. So we'll have three options here. One is allowed, means yeah, you can directly go and edit the entries in the table. So there is something called table maintenance. We'll see that in the future. So how to create a table and how to maintain it, these two things we'll see. So next thing is you cannot maintain display and maintenance, not allowed. So this will be only through my program manually. I mean these things are on the manual things, not by the program. Display and maintenance allowed manually or not. So that is a setting here. So now the major category is the fields. Okay, so what are these fields? These fields will be available on the table level for user display or data storing. So two ways we can browse a table. We have multiple transactions. So now if you go to this icon, say contents, someone has joined up. Let me accept. So this is a content. So it will say if you want to see the table contents, you can go here. So there are 3 to 4 ways you can see a table content through different transactions. Now these are the technical names of the fields. Okay, so this is called data browser. So these are the technical names. So if you want to change this, you will have something called settings, formal list, choose fields. Okay, this is for choosing fields. We'll have another setting actually. Fields. Okay. I think here you cannot see those. Let me check that. Okay. Instead of that, you will get your field labels. So that is a setting actually. Now there is another transaction called XC16. The same. This is for table browser only. I'll click on enter. The same way this screen comes up. Okay. Here what all you can do is you can just see the number of entries. You can execute the table. These are something called select options. Means already if you have some data, I mean any select options, you can use it. This will be coming into the programming code. There's something called select options. So if you want to do multiple selection, you can click this button and you can see is it a single value you want to give, or you want to give ranges, include ranges, exclude. These are different options how you can select the data. So this is on SC16 part. Now there is another transaction called SC16N. We'll see whether this is there in ECC or not. Yeah, it is there. So the advantage of this T code is previously it's like on other transaction. Let me go back to that once. In this transaction, you'll have either technical name or the description. So if you want to suppose, for example, some fields or some people will be familiar with the technical name of the field. Some people will be comfortable on the description. So based on that, they will have the setting. Now, if you want to have both, if I go to SC16, on the left side I'll have my field name, on the right side I'll have my technical name. So it's easy for anyone to just put in the entries. So now if I click on number of entries, it will show, okay, total 16,000 entries are there in this table. So we'll have a restriction also. So how many entries you want to restrict, you can restrict here. So other navigations are same. Okay. Now coming to the fields. In fields, what are the things available here is the field, whether it's a key field or not. Means for selection, for table when we create a table, there are two different fields mainly, key fields and non-key fields. So on key fields, these are the you cannot have duplicate entry. Suppose key maybe 1 2 3 4 means on same 1 2 3 4 key you cannot have another value, so it's a unique identifier. So you can have multiple keys as well. So mandate, mandt is means this is the client actually. So if you want to make the data client dependent, this should be a mandatory field. So as per this is a recommendation, not a mandatory one. So sometimes what will happen, system has a setting for recommendations and mandatory. So to make this table client dependent, this is the first field you will have to put everywhere in any table. Okay, so this is the client number. So after that, your material number, and this is the base. Your material number is unique. So functionally, materials are created and displayed in MM03. This is a functional transaction. See, if you see the material, this F4L, you can just get, okay, if I click on okay, these are all the materials available. Okay, so I'll randomly take some material. I'll take this and I want to see whether this material on the table level. See, this is on the screen level. Now I want to see it on the table level. What I'll do is I'll go to SC16N, which is the way I prefer actually. It's not mandatory. So material number, I'll give the material number here. Number of entries. It's not showing. So that is the description we copied then, not the material number. Now I'll give star here. Or if I want to, yeah, this wildcard entries also you can search. So I give maybe what I can say motor star. We'll see if any entries are there. So we have 9. These wildcard entries we can give. Star means what I will do is instead of motor, in before motor and after motor, whatever is there it will show. So execute. So motor star is what I have given. So if you see here, the motor string will be there in between somewhere. So see all this material, it's on table level. Now if I double click on this, it will show in another display. So here again, it will show the field name, value, technical field name and its value. So the values will be same actually, but one is a normal value, means it will on screen whatever you see. The second value is unconverted values. Okay, now what is this conversion? This we'll have on the data element level. We'll discuss that further. So this is how you can see the value. So now if you have to see, you can just browse down and see whether all my values are filled or not. Now coming back to the table fields. Okay, now that's the key field. Now initial values. Okay, initial values in the sense it will not have any blank values. Okay, that is the meaning. Now coming to data element. So this data element is another object in my data dictionary, saying it will hold some technical value details. So this one you can suppose, for example, if I take ERDSA, you can navigate in two ways. If you just double click, it will go there, or else you go to SC11 transaction again. We'll see if we have an option to data type. Actually I said your data elements will be there. So here we can go give this and click on display. Same will come up. Whatever is there on your double click, the navigation is same. So if you want to directly open that, you can open, or you want to search for data element, you can go there, give the search option. If I double click on this, so what are there here? So attributes is the same in almost every object. It will have the package. Let me go there. See, created and changed, package and original language. This attribute section is almost common in every data dictionary object. Now data type. This is the technical thing. So what options are available here is the elementary type means it will be linked to another domain. What is this domain? This is another important data element, data dictionary object where you can link with the search. I will show you what are the conversions are there. All those things you can put it here. In this data element section, the data type, we can give different data types, either domain or a predefined. Predefined in the sense we have data types like character, number, numeric, float. There are so many data elements, data types. Sorry, so you can give reference data type is like, yeah, so elementary and reference, you can just refer this to some other data type. It's not the same, but referring it, so that is a thing. So reference and static, what it is like now, for example, if you say, okay, I want to create a, this is not a technical example, this is a generic example. If you simply say like, yeah, I want to build a house, okay, I'll give the design. So how my house should look, everything. If I give, that is my specific elementary type. Like, okay, this is my house and it should like look like this. This is my elementary type. Now, what is reference type? Simply I say, boss, you see that house now, like that I want this house. That's all I do. I'll not give any detail, but see this house and build this. So this is the difference. My elementary type and my reference type. Now, this domain will go to that. It's again another data dictionary object. We'll go there. Now what is the further characteristics we'll see. So in this we'll have a search help, means on screen you have something called F4 help everywhere. So that F4 help comes from here. We have 3-4 ways to get this search help. That is also in a data dictionary object. I'll show that as well. So this search help, there are some 3-4 ways we can create this. We'll discuss on that as well. These are the further characteristics. Parameter ID, this is purely for there is something called logical databases. In that logical databases, what they will do is set and get is a keywords they will use. So for that it is, so these are the GPA parameters. Okay, then coming to the field label, this is the main purpose of this data element. How this field should look, the label should look on the UI. So they will have 4 different types of text here, labels: short, medium, long, and heading. What is the short, medium, long? This depends on the how much display it is. So now if I go to this ERDSA, for example, if the column is very big, so that will pick the description based on the short, medium, and long. And if it is somewhere on the heading part, it will pick the description which is against the heading. This is the label. Generally what people will do is like they'll just copy paste everything, but when there is a specific requirement on short, medium, and long, you can, these are, we can use it. We can declare this 10 is not a default one. If you give maximum length, it will take. So if the display is around 10 characters, less than 10 characters, it will show this. Now if the display goes beyond 10, this text will be picked up. So that is how this will work. So now going back to the table, see, now we'll have the data element. This data type is picked from there. So if you see for ERDSA data type, this is the data type. DATS, this is date field, length 8. So this will be shown there. See, DATS length 8. So instead of giving data element, there is an option. Directly you can give the predefined data type. Instead of ERDSA, you can give DATS 8. This button will be enabled. So that one you can give. If you click this, this will go off and directly you can give this. But the disadvantage in that is that field label, nothing will come up. only it is just a dummy. It will just a field which will store the data. On the UI level, it is not, it's of no use. Okay. So now going back to the data element, there is another thing called domain. Okay. This will domain will show how the attributes will be working upon. So now this is the data. Two ways again, either double click this, okay, or go to SC11 transaction, and there is something called domain. Here you can just give it and click on display. See, the same thing comes up. Now on the properties, again the same, created or changed, what is the package, what is the original. So that is the reason it will by default the when you open it will go to definition only. If you just observe that, properties or attributes will never open because it is the same. It doesn't have much significance. So if you click on data, it will directly go to definition only. This is the abbreviation. Now in definition, there are two things: format and output characteristics. Okay, so format is, yeah, now the actual data type you can give here. So data type, number of characters, this is the default. Actually DATS 8 is a default. Then number of decimal places, how many decimal places it should store when it is a decimal type. Then the output characteristics. Okay, the output characteristics, how much output length it should display. So what it here, what it is like 8 characters plus 2. So how it is plus 2, we'll just see. There is this. Okay, now what happens is like, so the date, okay, let me take today's at 15/06. It's 2/2 only. It will not take the full date format. 2021. So it's 8 characters, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now the output length is 10. Why? Because it will take either slash or hyphen something. So this completely comes to my 10 characters. So that is the reason output length is 10. Now what is the sign and lowercase? So this is a date format, so we will not have any difference between capital or small letter. Sign is accepting the negative symbols. So it is an integer. Suppose if you take amount, currency amount, that there is a chance that it might go to the negative values. So if you check this, it will accept negative values as well. Then lowercase, it means the case sensitive letters. So if you check this, lowercase letters are allowed or not. If you check this, and if you give camel case, like I'll tell you. So this is my string. I'll put my name anyways. This is a camel case letter. So if that checkbox is there, this value will go and get stored as it is. So whatever you give, if you say camel case A, B, like this, if you give, whatever you give here will get go and stored. In case this is not checked, what will happen is, whatever case you give, if I give like this also, it will go and store everything in capital. So this is case sensitive. So that is the purpose of the checkbox. Now going for the next tab, value range. Now what is this value range? So value range in the sense, what values this domain should accept. Okay, so there are two types actually. One is single value, another is intervals. So single value in the sense, I can give us this domain should accept only 2 or 3 values. Let me see if I can get any domain with values. Okay, this is on, to see material type, there is something called maintenance status. This should have some values. No. Okay, one more thing what we'll have to see here is before going to the values, conversion routine. Okay, so the conversion routine here means, for example, this is my maybe 10 characters, for example. So what will happen is, let me check if I can get anything with conversion values. Material type, no, material number should have. See, conversion routine. So what happens is, so if my material is, suppose for example, has a standard format, maybe I'll take an example. Let me assume that mine is a material number. So here it is 18 characters. So in ECC system it is 18 characters. So what will happen is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So this value I want to push it on the UI. So this will be the display. In system it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 and 9, 18 characters. This is how it will look in the system. So if I see anything on the number, let me show that with an example. SC16. I'll randomly open something. See, the material number is 170, for example. If you see, as I said earlier, this is the display value and this is unconverted value. So this value is around 18 characters. So what will happen? This is the value, okay? So while saving it to the table, it should be with preceding zeros. There are multiple conversions, okay? But for this material number, with the preceding zeros, you have to put into the table. But while displaying to the user, he doesn't need these zeros. So you have to remove all these zeros and display. So for that purpose, this conversion routine is used. So if you declare this routine, it will take care of the conversions. So how we will do the conversion? Let me double click on that. Sorry. So this will have function modules. Two functional modules will be there. One is for input and one is for output. So if I'll take this input. So this is a function module. The transaction to open a function module is SC37. Let it open. Okay. So input means, let's see what it does. I'll try to execute it. So we can see what is the input and what is the output. Okay. So this is the input value, means it will convert either from, let me open that, either from leading zeros to non-leading and vice versa. One is for input and one is for output. I'll give the value, execute. So it is for output. So if I remove this and give, see, it gives me with the leading zeros. So input means this is the input to the table. So if we give a value in the unconverted thing, it will give me the converted value. Means here, where is the table value? I think I closed it. Okay, so if you see that in the Mara table, I gave 170. That is the value unconverted, and it converts to my leading zeros. Now for the output, it will be vice versa. This is the input alpha. So that alpha, that conversion routine, every conversion routine will have two functional modules. One is for input and one is for output. Now let us see the other way. Output. Okay, so execute. So this generally what it does is it removes the leading zero and gives a value for a readable value. Now given this, it will give me without zeros. This is applicable for all the conversion routines. One is readable format and other is the system format. It will convert to this format and that format, like vice versa, input and output. So that is the usage of my conversion routine. This is different for different. Now for material number, this is specific. If you go to some other field, maybe some character field, it will be alpha. So material type, material description would be there. any character I'll take. Okay, character 422. This is something. Let me see if okay, this is a domain. This will not have anything. Okay, so anyways, however, you just take it, that name. If you double click, it will show the function modules. So that will be easiest way for you to identify. So that is for domain. Now let's go back to the means base unit of measurement material group. Okay, we are on the domain now. Now we were discussing the value range. So in single values, I give the whatever values I give, only those will be allowed. Like suppose if I say the material classes 1, 2, and 3, only that values it will allow. If you give any other value, it will say this is a wrong value. And intervals. So intervals in the sense group of values you can give, like some 1 to 10, 25 to 35, 45 to 55. These are the two ways, single values and intervals. Now what is value table? Okay. Now again, in you can just store the list of tables. Either that table might be customizing, like someone else will maintain, or whatever it is. It will compare against this table the values. So material group, like there are so many key fields here. So what it will do is it will see the whether in this table that particular entry is there or not. It will allow. So this is actually mapped through something called foreign key relationship. We will discuss that what it is in the tables. Now if I see that material groups, if I have any of the 302 entries are there. Okay, so based on these filters MAKTL, whatever I give the value, it will check against this value and it will throw an error. So this is called a value table. So this is on the domain part. So I don't feel anything I have missed. So as discussed earlier, this application toolbar is the most important thing is values list. So once we click on that, so this is the example like okay where this domain is being used. So this will have only package interface and data element. Let us try to find that in my data element. Now if I give a data element, see it will have so many options, like you want to search everywhere or you want to only specific to fields, view fields, whatever it is. Now for me this is default one because domains are generally used in my tables. So if I click here, so it will say in what all tables this data element is being used. So this will be an used case. So it's just a way to find based on your requirement at that point of time. You can just give that and you can have a look. See, so it will say 546 hits means in 546 tables this is being used. Now I want to check if this is being used in any of the program. So I'll remove this and I'll say programs. So it will say it will show me the list where on which all programs this data element is being used. So this is the list of program. So now three ways to navigate it. Either select this and click on display, or you just want to see where that is being used. Just double click on the short description. It will take you to that place. Let's wait for a couple of seconds. It's taking a lot of time. Let's see. So here it will directly go and take at what place it is being used. You see, this is the place it is being used. So this is again used case scenario only. Based on your requirement, you can search whatever fields you want and all those things. So that's on my domains. Now coming back to the table. Now you can assign a search help to this. So if you go to that entry help and check, see these are all the fields which have my search help. So if you see this, okay, input implemented. So this is my search help type. So this is another data dictionary object. We'll see that. So currency and quantity fields. So if there are any currency and quantity fields, we'll have to give a reference. So this reference table and reference field will be filled. Let's see. Okay, this is a quantity field. So while creating a data type, it will default ask. Without this, it will not allow. So gross weight, see, they have given a reference to the same table. So some reference should be there for this. That's it. The quantity. If you see, these are all quantity fields. In Mara table, it will be generally quantity. It's not any currency fields will not be there. This is all related to material. See, these are all related to reference fields. This is the entry help check. Now, what other features are available for this table? So this is a standard table. Okay. So now you have to add some custom fields to it. Okay. So there are three different ways you can add custom fields to it. One, you have to search for if the table is having any customer include. Okay. So now we have three ways actually. I'll tell you what are those. One is customer include. So these are this will come under enhancements, but still this is related to table we are discussing here. Okay. Customer includes. This will start with ci dot some name will be there. So if that is there, directly you can go and add. Otherwise, include structures. Okay. I'll tell you what is it. Then another append structures. So these are the three ways you can enhance a table. So this again depends on your table settings. So here we have an option. So now customer include will be generally at the end. So this already has an append structure. So this is a standard again, not a custom. So how we will add an append structure is append structure. If you just click on this button, it will give an option to. So these are all the append structures already available. If you want to create another append structure, you can just simply go there, create append. You can give your Gname, the short text, and you can just add your custom fields. And includes, I think this is how they look. So you can include some custom structure in this, giving this key field dot include, and this is your structure name. So the structure is again a data dictionary object. So if you double click on this, EMARA, this is structure. So this structure will have a similar thing. Only thing is this cannot store data. This can only just give a framework, like a frame. It is actually, it doesn't store data. So the attributes is same. Entry health check, components and currency quantity fields are all the same. But only difference is you cannot store data in structures. That's it. So that structure you can include it. So these are the three different ways you can add some custom things to your standard table. Okay. So now next thing would be, I think we have covered this, my indexes. Okay. Okay. Now what is index? Let us open it. Okay. So this index will come into picture where the data search or data sorting is happening. So when you have suppose less number of records, maybe 10, 20, 30, data search will not take much time. So this is on the database level. If you see here, database index. So this is the thing. So now when you have around maybe, this is a very standard table. Generally in SAP systems, it will be lakhs of entries. So what will happen is, um, based on used cases, on what fields these are being used. Suppose for example, material number, if you see here, old material number, this is a very used case scenario. So based on my old material number, I'll have to see what is my new material number. So this will affect the performance. Suppose there are 2 lakh entries without index, maybe the execution time will maybe it's for about 3-4 minutes. So if I give an index, it will come down. So that is the purpose of index. In index we have two types. One is primary index and secondary index. Okay, that is purely for searching only. It will improve the performance of the search. So what will happen is, like in some used cases the issues will come up, like okay, table is, some reports are working very slow. Then you will identify that okay, the selection is taking a lot of time. At that point, what you can do is you can just put another index on the field which you are selecting, and it will adjust the table. In the database level, what will happen is the sorting will happen based on the indexes. So that is on the database level. But for us, the technical part is you will create another index and use that index. That's all simple. Now coming to the technical settings. So what are there in this technical settings? Okay, so in this technical setting, this table category anyways you are giving while creating the table itself. Okay, now coming to the logical parameters, what is the data class? Okay, now data class will have 4-5 values. Okay, so what kind of data is being stored? Master data and transparent table, transaction data, organizational, dimensions. These all these for BW reporting. There is something called BW. That is another module in SAP. So generally we use PPL 0, 1 and 2 only. So organization data in the sense there is something called mm, org structure. Like for example, CEO. CEO is the head of the company. Then under him who is reporting. Then under them who is reporting. So in a very small company where some 30 to 40 employees are there, the hierarchy is very small. But in big companies like Wipro, TCS, where there are lakhs of employees, so every employee in the bottom will somehow map to the CEO because CEO is the highest guy. So that structure, what you say, whatever you see is called org structure. So that is holding the value. So now master data, transaction data, and org data. So that is for the data class. Size category. So this is exactly size categories, the how many records it may have. So some tables will have less records, some table will have more records. Just based on some assumption, you can give this. After that, some in the future, if you this exceeding, you can always change it. Okay. Now the concept of buffering comes into picture. Now what is buffering? Okay. Now there are again, if you take this example of Mara table, I have some 2 lakh entries. Okay. Now see reports, execution of reports is very common in SAP system. For example, I'll take 10 people are running the same report 10 times. Okay. Now what will happen is you have a select query. I mean selecting the data from the table. Okay. Now what happens 10 times? Uh, Suppose for example they are seeing, let's consider they are seeing all the records. So now what the used case is one report. Okay, 10 persons each executing 10 times a day. So that table is going to give values to the report 100 times a day, right? Now what happens is like 100 times, suppose there are, we'll take 1 lakh records. Okay, 1 lakh records are there in my table. So what will happen? 10 people are executing it 10 times a day. So total 100 times. So 1 lakh records. So that will go to 1 crore hits. Means each time the database table will give to the application server. So as earlier I mentioned earlier, 3 different layers are there: database layer, application layer, and presentation layer. Okay. So what will happen is every time for every execution they should go pick the entries and put it in the application server, manipulate it. So to avoid all this um, data transmission, there is something called buffer. Okay. So what it will do is it will take all the 1 lakh entries, 1 lakh entries. Okay, because there are 1 lakh entries. It will store in my application server. So now what happens? Even if 100 times they execute, my database is not hitting my database. It is collecting from my buffer. So now what happened? Now the execution of around 99 lakh entries. Okay, you can put it 99 lakhs. Let me count the difference. So 99 lakh entries you have saved it. Means you need not go there, get the value. So that is a delta. So, for one execution, so for one day, you have saved around 99 entries of database hits. Then assume on monthly basis how much it is saved. So that is why the buffer has come into picture. So buffer is nothing like a temporary table, okay, which will have the data for certain reasons. Okay. Now there are 3 different types of buffering. buffering type. So what will happen is now we can set the buffering. So buffering not allowed, allowed but switched off, it's switched on. These are three settings. It means how this buffer should work. Now types of buffering: single record, generic area, and fully buffered. So let's come from the bottom. Fully buffered means the example what I explained now. Like the whole Mara table will be stored in the buffer. That is the example which I just discussed. All the 1 lakh entries will come into my buffer. That is my fully buffering. The generic area buffering. So what they will do is specific on certain key fields. So there are so many key fields in the table. They will say, okay, these key fields values, these values, we just store it in the buffer. So that means a certain selection of records will be stored in the buffer. A single record, as I said, yeah, only one record is stored in the buffer. So this buffering is very useful in that point of time. Okay. Now log data changes. Okay. Now there is something called, there is a concept called um, change records. That means if these are normal tables, it is fine, but certain critical tables we should know what it's like. A change log, like who changed it, what is the old value, what is the new value, at what time. This is the settings. So whether if you want to do that, you just need to check this box, log data changes, and write access only with Java. There are two stacks in ABAP. So one is ABAP stack and one is Java stack, which is very less used. So if the Java stack also should access these tables or write access only with Java, you can click the setting. So this is on my technical settings. Then the other important thing is you just see what all options are available here. In utilities, there is something called, what you say, uh, disbursement category, activation log. Okay, not extra, sorry. There's something called enhancement category. Okay, so this enhancement category says enhancing is something like that. Okay, a customer has to add their own fields in this particular section. So we have different options. Not classified, generally by default it will be not classified. If you say cannot be enhanced, no custom fields can be added. Now, if enhancement is possible, there are three options. Can be enhanced deep. Deep in the sense, if this setting is there, that customer include whatever telling is will be enabled. So, in deep in the sense, what will happen in the table, they'll add structures. That is deeping. So, if this is checked, this customer include come into picture, and they can add the customer include whatever fields they want. They can add it. Can be enhanced character type or numeric. Only these two types of fields only can be added. Can be enhanced character type, only character fields can be added. This is the differentiation. So these are the basic things on my table level. Then now after creating my table is generally used by other programs only. It's not like directly I can go and change the entries. So for that option, when this should be added to my customizing. Okay, so basic things for customizing is SPRO. This is the standard. So every functional person will go here, and entire system, like all my customizing will lie here only for all modules. So if you see just for an example, financial accounting, logistics, these are all customizings. Okay, so they'll just navigate here, and at the back end, whatever customizing they do, in the back end it is a table, database table. So how the linkage is happening is there is something called table maintenance generator. So if you see here, utilities, table maintenance generator. See, this will not have actually, okay, because this is a standard table. So what all the options available here is the authorization group, means who are authorized to do this. So if I click on F4, these are the authorization groups available. If you want to create any custom one, you can just create that. So authorization object, yes, this one. Then function group. So as I said earlier, there is something called function modules. Those are all grouped into something called function groups. That we'll discuss when we are discussing the function modules and function groups. Now coming to the maintenance steps, we'll have one step and two step. Okay, what is one step and two step is? Let me tell you. So if I take any table, this selection will come. Okay, this once I give the selection, then I will enter the maintenance screen. So material I give star motor star. This is my selection screen. This is my overview screen. Okay, I mean on the when you edit it. Okay, now what will happen is we can have option to skip the selection screen, directly give the last screen. So that is one step and two step. So if it's two step, it will say, see, if it's a overview screen and single screen. Single screen is my last view. This is my yeah, overview screen and single screen. So one of these two is overview and single. If I give two step, it will ask for two screens. If I give one step, it will only take over direct screen. It will not ask for anything else. So this is the way that is completely based on my requirement. So if I give find screens, specify a function group. Okay, z I'll give propose screen number. So it will give. So if system can propose, it will display the free numbers and we can select. Okay, so we'll see what are the free screen numbers. So it says these are the numbers, but these from 1 to 999, 1011 to 99 are there. I'll just select randomly. One it will go default. Okay. Now if I click on create, it will create a maintenance screen for this. Now recording routine. This one when I say for customizing tables, for standard tables it is fine. Like okay, if you click the log, it will start recording. But for customizing, data transport again here, customizing things. I mean whatever the entries you maintain, can you transport or not? Suppose for example, you for testing purpose you created some data that should go to the other systems or not. So generally how the system flow is development system, quality system and production system. This is the generic hierarchy. So if you have some entries in production development system, whether you want to transport them to production or not depends on your this setting. Standard routine, standard recording routine, it will just capture all the entries. So once you create this table will be maintainable. So for maintenance, the transaction is SM30. So generally this Mara will not be there, but still we'll just try. So if say no maintenance dialog exists. So if this is existing, okay, now what I'll do is I'll just search if I have any table with maintenance. Because there are so many, we'll see if it is there. Table name. Okay. See, this is how the overview screen looks. So we gave only one step, so this will come like this directly. Otherwise, it will come with two step. Now, if you click on transport, it will ask for a transport. Okay, this is not coming, something else actually. This is how transport looks. So if you give the setting like yeah, you can transport the entries, it will request for a transport. Otherwise, it will not. You cannot transport the entries. So now, if you there is something called customizing. So we'll see whether this table or view is part of any customizing. No IMG activity. See the IMG activity means this one SPRO what I said earlier. Where is that? This SPR. These are all IMG activities. So we can backtrace like yeah, if my table is there in any customizing or not. This is the steps we follow. So now on database tables, I think we have covered everything. Let me see if I have missed anything. Okay, just give me a minute. Attributes, yes. Delivery, LTF, technical indexes, append structure, table maintenance, data. Okay, there is something called database object. Let me see this. This is one thing. Now, what is the database utility? So, when you have data tables created, maybe in the middle, maybe after 2 3 months, you will have an option to change. You have a requirement to change it. So now, what will happen if you change it? This might now cause the ripple effect in the sense some adjustments will have to. Suppose in my table I have 10 fields, you added another 5 fields. Now what should happen to the now for example, the old data will not have that 5 fields, newly added fields. The old data, I mean, I had created a table 1 week back. Today I added 5 fields. From tomorrow I'll have all 15 fields data, but for yesterday's values I will not have any values. Okay, because my table data is not entered for this 5 fields because today only we added those. Okay, now how to activate it? Sometimes what will happen if I add or remove my key fields, Okay, on the database level, it is pretty difficult to activate it. You may face errors while activating. So they will come to this database utility. Direct transaction, I think, is SC14. Let me check that. Database utility is directly SV14. So if you come here, Mara table, it will say bus table or view, match code or proof cluster. You can just click on edit. The same way it comes here. See this, it's the same. So if you navigate from a table or SC14, this is the same. So here we have an option to delete the database table or activate and adjust. So the major critical thing here is when you are saving data or deleting data is very critical, because when we click on activate and adjust, it will ask for adjust. In case you by mistake have this delete data in place, all your data will get washed out. This is a very critical step we'll have to do. So what generally they will is activate and adjust the database. Make sure this save data is clicked. Otherwise, your data, complete data will be washed out. So that is very critical step in any database utility. So now there is another thing called versioning that is common for every object. Where in utilities there is something called versions. This we can discuss in programming, because while comparing in programs it will be very easy to understand. So now, okay, so let me go back to that SC11. So what all we have discussed is domain we have discussed. In data types we have discussed data elements and structures. Okay, the table types you haven't discussed yet. So for today this is it. Tomorrow what we will do is we'll discuss on views and other things which are left out in the data dictionary. After this data dictionary is ready, you can start practicing, because this is the most basic thing in SAP. So any coding or anything will again come back somehow or other. It will come back to any of this data dictionary object. If you have any clarifications, you can get back to me on my WhatsApp number. So that's it for today. Thank you, Tim. We'll catch you tomorrow. Same time, 8 o'clock. Thank you.